what is given here. There's a start lab, and here credits are something which you need to usually attend, like attempt the lab. But we have a monthly subscription, so there's no need to worry about that. There's time given. There's 45 minutes for this lab given. So in 45 minutes, you need to complete this lab. And score, as you can see here, there's a score here to know if you completed the task given in the lab or not. So this is hands-on lab actually. We don't need to look into paying for the lab because we are giving the subscription. Until now, let's see. They're asking what. So what does Start Lab create have? It has a score. It has some credits. Okay, so this builds what builds the temporary environment in Google Cloud. So once you click the Start Lab button, then only the Google Cloud environment starts. You can't access any of the resources before clicking on it. So you have to click on Start Lab. Only then this temporary environment will be set up. Okay, and next when the timer reaches 0, you will lose access. Yes, this is like a temporary Google Cloud environment. So as soon as your timer ends or you end the lab, it you cannot access any of the resources. It will end. Next, yes, some labs have tracking to know if you have completed the lab or not. The activities given in the lab. See, as you can see here, like there are some tasks you need to do. So after each task, you'll be getting some score, and only then your lab is completed completely. Okay. Next, in order to receive the completion credit, you must complete all the required hands-on activities. So now they're telling how can you access the Google Cloud services or the console. So you should first click on the lab button, and as soon as you click on Start Lab, you'll get these things: an open Google Console button, a username, a password, and a project ID. So a username and a password, it's like a unique thing with which you will sign in into the Google Console. And a project ID is to identify which project you're working on. So it's just like an ID given to you to identify who you are and what you're working on. And then, yeah, that's what is explained here about each one of them. Uh, yes, they're telling how you can access into. I'll just start the lab button from here. Maybe we can just do it together. So I hope you have all opened this link, or I'll just put this link in the chat. So I kept it in the chat. You can access it now. All of you can just open the link and get started. First, click on Start Lab. Okay, launch lab. There's been some problem with my something. Yeah. Most of you won't get this warning or anything. It will just start immediately. It's because I attempted one of the lab more than 3 times, so it's showing some trouble. So I'm telling you guys also, don't try to read the whole thing and try to do it in 1 or 2 goes. Don't make it more than 3. So you can open the Google Console. So how do you here? For many of them, you might get the user directly. For some, you might not. You can just copy it from here by clicking this button and then paste it and enter. And take the password also and enter. I am just all the I just agree to all the terms and conditions and stuff. So there will be an I agree button. I'll agree, agree, and continue. So this is the temporary Google Cloud environment which I was talking about, which will only get activated once you start the lab. And once you end the lab, you have no access to any of this. All of this will leave on its own. And yeah, so let's just go down. We did the username, the password, we clicked the I understand, we even clicked on agree and continue. So this is done. So let's see what's not found in the left pane. Let's see project ID. We can see there's a project ID. There's an open Google console button. There's no system admin. So that's the answer. Let's just see the last option, password. We have a password also. So you know what's the answer here. And the username is a cloud IAM identity. True, it's an identity for you to identify who you are. Next, what's a project? A project is like to keep everything organized uh, in in the console. So you have a project under which you can do many things. You can use an API, create a virtual machine, do many things under one project. You can keep all organized under one project. So here we are given a project ID already, so we have nothing to do with it. Here they are just telling us how we can access all our projects. We have only one project here, so there's nothing to see. But here, if you click on this button, you'll see this is the only project we are working on or what we are given of. But if you have like an actual Google Cloud account and you're actually doing a lot of things, you can have multiple projects here, like which you can switch. So how can you switch? It is by clicking this button. That's what they're trying to tell here. And yes, here we did this. They're telling us to click on cancel after seeing this. So we'll just do that. Click on cancel to return to the now an organizing entity for anything you build. So that is a Google Cloud project. It is an organizing entity for whatever you build in Google Cloud. That's what it means. Google Quick Lab resources is shared read only. Yeah, some resources in Quick Lab is shared like only read only. You cannot change some of them. So that means you cannot delete or modify it. You can only read it and use them. Quick Lab resources is the project where you run all of your false. That is not true. Okay. And next, navigation menu and services. Yeah, they're telling us what's there. Let us just now explore. Let's see if the navigation menu is here. So I'll go. It's already open. You can see. It's like an overview of everything. You have APIs, you have billing, you have IAM admin, compute engine services, Kubernetes engine, storage services, SQL. I mean, many of things like maybe don't make sense, but just an overview. APIs are uh, like instead of doing something from scratch, you can just go for an API. Like if you're building an app now, and you want maps in your app. Now imagine Zomato. Zomato has something like Zomato. It has a map where you can track your driver or whatever, whoever is bringing your food. So you think Zomato must have created the whole map again? It must have not gone for that. It's very hard to do that. So instead, they'll just use an API created by Google, like a Google Maps API. So directly they get the whole map and they can just work on some changes and use the API to build the application or add features to the application. So API is that. Billing, of course, when you use Google Cloud services, you have to pay for it. But one thing good about Google Cloud is that you pay only for how much you use. You don't have to pay like a certain amount from the start. Like you pay rent, like you have to pay rent specific amount of rent for every month, no matter what you do. Even if you don't live in the house, you have to pay the rent. So it's not like that here in Google Lab. If only you're using the resource, you pay. And how much time you're using the resource and how much of the resource you're using, it depends on all that. You're costed only for how much you use, not more than that. So that's a good thing in Google Cloud. IAM and admin, we have in cloud IAM identity. So we have identities to identify who is doing what. So using this, we give permissions to users. So think that there's a project and there are like four people working on it. You want three people to only read and only one person be the head who can also edit the resources or the project, whatever is going on. So using IAM and admin, you give people access. You give some people access to write, some people access to read, some people access to edit, things like that. So using this, you can have authority. And this marketplace, I don't know much about this too. You can look on Google or something, right? There's compute engine. Here we have virtual machines and things like that. So what's a virtual machine? I'll just tell you briefly. Now many of us have Windows laptop. We have a OS like operating system of Windows, or we have like Apple, maybe Mac. So now you want to use Linux. What will you do? You'll go buy a new laptop with Linux OS involved, install in it. Now, or if you want Ubuntu, which you use in college, you think you'll go for a new laptop which has Ubuntu OS, like operating system? No, we can just go for virtual machines. Virtual machines is like a compressed form of an OS. So you can just switch. You can have different types of virtual machines with different OS and things like that. On the same hardware, you can have different applications with different operating systems. That is what is virtual machine. Kubernetes is much more uh, like it's enhancement of virtual machines. Here on the same OS, you can have different applications. Kubernetes has, it's like a you can create clusters of Kubernetes and things like that. I'll tell you when we reach there. For now, I hope you are understanding what I'm telling. I hope I'm not going too fast. Yeah, is this going fine? Is there any problem until now? Okay. Uh, yes, we know about compute engine Kubernetes. Cloud storage, you can tell. I mean, many of you probably even know. Storage, cloud is usually like the first thing that comes to mind with cloud is storage. BigQuery is also a form of storage. The difference between cloud storage and BigQuery is in cloud storage, you usually store information which is, mm, you know, structured. BigQuery has information, you can store information which is unstructured. Now, structured is like just text and everything like that, and BigQuery you can store images and things like that, and unstructured data. You use BigQuery. VPC network, it's a virtual private connection or something like that. I have not much idea about this also. SQL, we have SQL. I mean, if you are in second year or something, you might probably know. Or you will know. SQL is also used for storage, but it's usually for storing information which can be stored in the form of tables, relational data, security. For all this, you again need security, and for that also we have many, reCAPTCHA, right? Not a robot, you click that, right? We can have that service also provided by cloud directly. And like I told you, right, Google Maps, you have APIs for Google Maps also. So that was the overview of the dashboard. And yes, let's go down. What's there? Roles and permissions. So let's see, I told you, right, IAM, it is to assign people with permissions and roles. They told to go on navigation menu and click IAM and admin. I did that only. And let's see what we get. They're telling us to find the student. Okay, it's loading. Sorry, my laptop is a little slow. It cannot take so much long. And here are some roles and permissions. I'll tell you about them until it loads. So it, these are not the only roles. These are some roles which are pre-identified. They are already predetermined. Some are like viewer, editor, and owner. Viewer can only have read-only actions. He cannot do anything that affects the data. So he cannot modify or anything. He can just read the data. Editor, he can read the data. He has all permissions that viewer has, plus permission for modifying the state of the resources. Owner has all the permissions of editor and to manage roles. So he can change the role of someone from editor to viewer, viewer to editor, and things like that. Okay, yes. So what was our project ID? Quick Labs GCP 03. So let's search for that. Yeah, this is the one, right? So what roles are we given? Wow, we are given. Am I seeing the right thing? Sorry, maybe no. Oh, we are supposed to check the student ID. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Student, the username, the student 00. That is this. Yes. So our role, we are given the editor and viewer role. That's it. There are people who have the query admin, owner role, storage admin role, things like that. Like I said, like these are not the only roles. There can be many other roles. These are like the basic standard roles. You have even other roles like BigQuery admin, storage admin also. Okay, so yeah, you can answer this on your own later. Maybe I just skip them. Let's go to APIs and services. Yeah. So in this lab specifically, they have like given special attention to APIs. So I'll just go to navigation menu, APIs and services, and libraries. So navigation menu, APIs and services, library. They have given very good instructions if you want to do it on your own also. So it's not a big deal. You can try them on your own. Yeah. Yes. We open it. They're telling us to search for an API which has a name dialog. Let's search and we'll enable this API here. So this is the director API and I'll click this and I'll enable the API. Okay, no doubts until now. Anything you just put it in the chat. I'll be like checking randomly in between if there's anything at all. This is loading. So what we are doing is just trying out an API, how it works, what it does, and how can we just enable it. It's like so easy. You don't need to do anything. Just go search for the API you want to use and enable it. That's it. And the API is enabled now. I'll go back to see if it's actually enabled or not. Search. Yes, this time I have the green tick saying that it is enabled. Now, if you have want, you can even try this API. I'm not doing anything new or anything on my own at all. This is everything given in the instructions. So don't be like shocked or anything. What is she doing? She's doing something from out of the world or something. I'm just doing what's given. It's nothing new at all. So if you are even missing out, you can check out the recording or even just read through and do it on your own. It's not at all hard to do it on your own. So okay, let's start exploring. Yes. These are some functions under this API. See what do they tell us to do. I enabled. Yeah, I think that is it. You can just check out some. Yeah. So what is Dialogflow API? It's like a NLP API. It's like a language processing API. Under this API, again you have many methods or functions. You know methods or functions, right? Which you use in C or Java, something like. So under one of them is abusive experience report. So it's like okay, let's just click. What does it tell? Is it tells us how much abusive like data is there in a website. It gives a score to the website. Yeah, so we are under one of the method. Now we have the get method. There are two methods under this. Get. Let's see what does get. I'll just click on get. Yes, you can try out now. So what are the parameters of get? You should give a string to the get. So when you, I just copy paste this thing only. Is there something? Yeah, I'll just copy paste. Yes, it gives a score to the website. how much abusive language was used and things like that. 200, and it's green in color. That means not much and it is good to go. Things like that. So you can use this APIs and try out more methods if you want. This is one of them. So congratulations, you have completed your first lab. I didn't do anything here. I didn't submit or anything because I have already did the lab. So I'm expecting you guys to try it on your own, those questions and everything. Because if I tell you all the answers, what's the point, right? And these questions are not like one time you click. Okay, if I just click the wrong answer, maybe. Okay, this is a okay correct answer. I'll, this is the wrong answer. So I can choose the next answer and check. Okay, that is also wrong. So it's just like a learning thing. You'll know what is right. And it's not like once you click and submit, you have no other choice, no chance, things like that. You can again try out and understand and learn from the questions. What was it? So I hope the first lab went well. It was not very confusing. And I hope I'm not going very fast. If it's anything like that, please let me know. Anything, any doubts, anything at all. Okay, so I'll just end the lab now. So after you're done with the lab, just submit and the lab, and you can just do all that. So first lab done. I hope you all also did it with me, and it was good. How many of you actually did it with me? Can I get something like yes or something like that? How many could actually do it with me? Okay. No one else. No responses. You couldn't. I'm sorry. What was the problem? Was there a problem with the, or you did not have the access? Was that the problem? You didn't have the subscription? Um, I think it'll be provided with the recordings later, so maybe you can check that out. Or maybe I'll do the next lab now. You can follow with that. Thank you. I'm glad it went good. So I'll just go with the next one and Venkat Amar. I think you can try out the next lab now, which I'm doing. So the next lab, it's a virtual machine. Like what I said about virtual machine. Here we'll be creating a virtual machine. So that's really cool. Okay, like actually able to create a virtual machine. So let's see what's the overview. What yeah, as we saw under compute engine we have virtual machines. So like I said, virtual machines are the machines that run on different operating systems like Linux. Maybe you have many things under Linux like Debian, Ubuntu and things like that, and Windows and things like that. So you can run thousands of virtual machines on one system. So that makes your task easier, right? You can get access to many things which are there in Linux. You can get access to things in Windows. Like it's a mix of everything. So you'll have uh, you can do many things with that. So what will we do here? Our task will create a virtual machine from the cloud console. So the cloud console. See, after I ended the lab, what happened? I'll show you. I ended the lab, but I kept this tab still open. I cannot access the resources. It's just showing, but if I try to access it, won't. I won't be able to because I ended the lab, so it will show an error or something like that, or tell me to sign in again, which I won't be able to do again because I don't know why it's not doing that. But that's what happens. Don't try to use anything after ending the lab. I'll just close it. because I already am having a lot of problems. Okay, so cloud console is the like what I showed you. Just go through the navigator and see. There's a gcloud command line also which you can use to do things. This in this lab we'll get to see that also. I'll show you that also. And after creating the virtual machine, we'll deploy a web server and connect it to the virtual machine. So prerequisites, I don't think this is like very much required. So you don't need to be scared if you don't know anything because I myself also didn't know all of these commands. There, you can just go to Google and see what they need if you want, and it's not much use, so nothing to worry about. So for now, we'll just go through before starting the lab because our time is limited and we don't want any problems. So they're telling us how to start the lab, open the Google console button, and everything. Now here they're telling us how to activate the cloud shell. Okay, that's how it is. Regions and zones, something about them. You don't need to understand everything perfectly. Just an overview of what is happening is enough. What you need to do. So what they did is open some console and then they showed us something about the regions and zones. It might be somewhere covered now next. So let's see how it is related. And then they telling us going to navigation menu, creating virtual instance, and there's something about the new instance they told us. You don't need to understand each one of this. And then yeah, like they told, first you'll create a virtual machine instance and then you'll actually uh, like link the web server to the virtual machine. So for that, first you have to have a web server. So we are doing we're installing a web server by doing an update in the OS, and then we'll install the web server, confirm if it is running or not. Once it's running, we'll okay, I think we'll attach it here only, and after that we're creating again a new instance, but this time not from Google Cloud Console, from the command line, like I told you. So yes, we're creating it from the command line, and there's some like commands. Maybe we'll go through them as well, and that's it. Okay. Now let's go to the start lab. Click on start lab, and then open Google Console. Okay. This is a very big problem for me. There's so many accounts now that I have, which I can't be using also. I'm copying the password, username, and just signing in. Starting it might feel like a work, but as you start doing the labs continuously, it will become like a habit for you. So it's okay. Mm, there has been some problem here. I don't know what happens when I start something already. I'll just close and try to open it again. Maybe I gave the wrong password by mistake. Let's yes. See, sometimes the problem is not so huge. You can just try some chota mota, you know, things, and it will be perfect. And sorry for my language. I usually talk in Hindi, so I yes, like Soumya said, yes, that's right. VMs are something which are used like in daily life for some people. It's like something so common, and when you enter tech, you don't know anything about VMs. That's like kind of a little embarrassing when because there are people like everyone knows about it and you don't know about it, but now you get to know about it and even work on it. So it's a huge thing for all of you. I hope you understand how cool that is. Yeah. So I signed in have to accept the terms and conditions. I think that's done. Yes, the first thing they're telling us to activate the cloud shell. So I'll show you how to do that. There's this button on the right, just beside the search bar. Click on it, and boom, magic. Yes, like Cloud Shell is ready. Cloud Shell is something like a command line only, just a different name where you write gcloud commands. So here, all your commands usually start with gcloud, and after that, whatever you want to do. And there are two commands you will use in every lab in the starting. First, you authorize the Cloud Shell. For that, you do gcloud auth next enter authorize. It will do its work. And yes, this was the first command. The next command is to see what is your project. Jcloud config. I don't know this command like by heart or anything. I've been using it for so long that I just remember it.
Zara,
Yes.
Harshita is asking you to repeat. I guess.
From where? Okay. Yeah, sure. From where? From the console. How to open it? Okay. I just. Yeah. That's what we did until now. We first signed in. I hope you were able to do that. And next, go here on the right, just beside the
She
search.
asked for the commands.
Commands. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
maybe you can
gcloud.
zoom in there, I
Yeah.
guess.
Or
Like
else
make the window bigger.
you have it here also, actually.
Ah, right.
Okay. I'm missing it. Can you see this? These are. This is the first command. You click authorize, you'll get this output. The next command is config list project. This is given in every lab. The config list project gives you the project ID which you're seeing here. Sometimes there's a problem and you don't get the project ID here. That means you just need to restart the page or refresh the page, something like that. So just for that we check it. Was that fine? Or I'll just copy paste and keep the commands in the chat. The first command is this. And the next one is these were the two commands which you will be using very frequently. You'll almost remember them. It's not like you have to remember it now. As we keep doing it, it will just get, yeah, like you can see the project list. Can you see this thing, the sharing thing, or is it visible only to me? It's blocking. I hope it's not blocking you guys. This is like the project ID. If you're
Maybe
able
you
to
can
see,
click on hide.
yeah. Uh, So this is the project ID. If you're able to see this, it's all good. If you're not able to see it, then just refresh the page, Control R, and then open a new tab and just do the same thing again. That's it. That will work. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Most of you must have got it, so I don't think there's you know, need for me to do it and show you. Now, Google Cloud has there are some services or some things which are a little bit differentiated based on the regions and zones. So for that we need to know which region or which zone are you in. And here what we will use is like in our labs usually our zones usually will be US only. So in US also there's Western and Central which I have been like encountering until now. How many other times I have been using the cloud thing. So this is not like much of importance. Just so you know that there are different regions and there are different zones which we will be using. They are giving us the zones and regions which we need to use in the lab like already. There's nothing to worry about there. So this was the whole setup, and this was some things about regions and zone. Now, first thing now, we'll be creating our own virtual machine. So let's do that. First, go to the navigator, go to compute engine, Virtual machine is a service under compute engine. So you'll go to virtual machines here. Virtual machines is nothing but VM. And just click on VM machine instances. It's loading. Let's see. And yes, like it might take little time. Next, what we need to do is create instance. So yes, create instance. Yeah. Now this is like, isn't this like super easy? I just, you don't need to write any code here. Just a drop down, just some options. Whatever name you want to give to the instance, you can give it. Which region, when do you want, you can use it. And now, which machine type do you want? And in machine type, which series? We have different types. Not that we know all of them, but yeah, you can see different types of machines. In the under the machine, there's medium, micro, small, and things like that. And yes, you can change the boot disk also if you want. Yeah, boot disk also if you want. And you can have a firewall which allows only HTTP or only HTTPS traffic and things like that. This is something you can do on your own, create. But for us, they've already given us everything, all the details in this table. Okay, what are we supposed to create and what it must have. So they've told us the name should be GCP app. So we'll just create the same thing because all of this is tracked. So this will give you the score. So when you create, you'll get 50, the score 50. So for that, you need to like go with the whole instructions. You can't just create anything on your own. You can, but you won't be given the score. You can again create a new instance if you want. But for now, just go with the instructions. The first name, region US West one, it's already chosen. So series E2. Yes, that's also already chosen. There's nothing for me to do. The machine type is 2 vCPU. Same thing, 2 vCPU. And the boot disk is new 10 GB balanced persistent disk. Yeah, 10 GB balanced persistent disk. So that's what it is. And the type is also Debian Linux Lab. All of this makes no sense probably, but these are just types of OS and things like that. Like they're internal information which you don't need to know. Like when you use it, you'll get to know. But for now, what you need to know from this whole lab is what is a VM machine and what does it do. And when you create a VM machine, like what does it have and what do you need to know. These all are the things which depends on what you are creating. If you are creating a project or an application or anything like that, so at that time, these are not the only choices for you. You will choose according to what you are doing. So there's no point of going deep here. And the firewall, which will allow only HTTP traffic, is what the code. All of this is done. Just click create, and your first virtual machine instance is created. And that's amazing. You did it without any problems and you understood hopefully everything. So this is like a good thing here. Whenever you do something, whenever you do something new or anything, it tells the gcloud gives you like a learn tutorial which you can go through. It's not only for virtual machine. Any service, if you click on something, there will be a site given to you where they'll show you like what you can go through for exploring more and things like that. You can always have a look if you're interested. So yes, our first instance is here and it's running. So amazing. Um, Now we told we'll be connecting it to the web server. So here SSH. We'll click on SSH. Not on the arrow, just click on SSH. It will open a window. see what we need to do. So these are some commands to install the web server. Once this opens, yeah. So whatever the commands are given from now on to install the web server, we'll copy paste them here. So first I'm updating, and then I'll install the nginx server, and confirm if it is running or not after it's installed. So it's the same output. So it's running probably. And now, yeah, we even get an IP address here. So we can check out it. Now, yeah, after connecting it to the web server, we get an external IP address. Now we can click on that. Yes, we are connected to a web server. The Nginx web server is installed and it is working, and it is connected to the instance. So that's great, right? From here, directly you connected it to SSH by installing the so so that's pretty cool. You so until now you did two things. So you even created an instance and you even connected it to a web server. Now, like something like an extra thing, I would say, we created a virtual machine instance. How? By going through the Google console. But now this is like a different way, a different alternative to the first method. You can even create the instance through the cloud shell from here. So if this is your first time, I would prefer if you write this thing up instead of copy pasting. Like the above things were not so important. This like the sudo app install and everything. They are usually the things which you will go on Google and just install and things like that. But this is something you'll probably use in future if you get into cloud in future. So I would suggest if you type this thing, I'll keep the command in the chat. Yes, great that you actually are able to follow. And I think so. I'll just tell you what basically it means. It's nothing. So you're going to gcloud under compute instances. You'll create one gcloud compute instance and the name of the instance, whatever you want. Here we are using gclab 2 because there's gclab already existing, and uh, to specify like under functions, in functions you have parameters, right? So similarly here, when you have something like parameter, now gc lab, if you want to give in what parameters it has, like it has machine type and zone, so we use this double, hash or whatever you call it. So you give the double hash and write the name and then the value. So machine type is like a parameter name. Now, what's the machine type of this GC Lab 2 is E2 medium. We saw, right, what was series and the machine was E2 and then E2 medium. So here we can directly specify it. And then zone. Zone also was already chosen there before when we created the instance. So here again a parameter zone and we'll write the zone. I'll just copy paste this because I've already done it, but it will be very nice if you type it on your own and actually understand. And I hope you did understand what it meant. It's like a simple command, so nothing to worry about. Yes, that's it. We created a second virtual machine instance. Now everything about the instance is given: the name, the zone which we gave, it's given, so the internal, external IP, and its status is running. And you can even see it here. I mean, I should like refresh it here. So in the list you have now two virtual machine instances. Exclusive because we connecting the data. Yes, and we have it. There's two instances running. Now what we did is only create a new instance. Now I'll yeah. There's this command help. There's a help command everywhere. So gcloud also has one. Okay, because I refreshed. Just give two hyphens and help, and you'll get more know more about the command. So now instances. So yeah, they're telling you what can be the parameters and things like that. There's the instance name, and there are some parameters which you can give it. They're not given everything. These are some. And queue to exit. So here, not create, just normally also only in instances. What is there? So, always anything. There's help always, so you can check those out. So now what we did was create instance through Google Cloud, the shell, Cloud Shell, and now we'll connect it to the SSH through the Cloud Shell only. So I'll just copy paste this. Nothing. gcloud compute SSH, whatever instance it is, and the zone we are at. Just and just like how before, and, type my. I didn't do any of it on my own. It's all written here, so don't be like don't panic or anything like what's happening. If you're not able to understand, just come here. The same thing. Run the command. The same question came. The answer is given here. Type file, and then when they ask for the paraphrase, press enter and enter. And after that, after connecting, yes. Now we are connected to the
Okay,
SSH shell.
Zara, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes,
Hashima
yes.
says that her second instance was not created.
Okay. What was the problem exactly? What happened? Did it show like an error or anything? Can you just like did you do it from the cloud shell? Can you just copy paste that command? Did this command run which I sent you here? gcloud compute instance create whatever like you copied whatever you wrote in the shell. Can you just keep copy paste it here? Sometimes it's just space also. So like I'll just tell you what can be the problem, which I think might be. So after compute instance, create whatever name you give it space and then hyphens, and after hyphens there should be no space. It should be just the name of parameter name and then a space and whatever value. Again, there should be a space here. So just maybe I am guessing that that might be a problem. Oh, this is I think the help which you when you run help, this is all about. Uh, this is just telling you more about what the command is. I think after you can press Q or something and you'll come out of it. And I think you did come out of it. So there's not much of a problem. Uh, 1 second, I will show you this. Did you after running this create GCE lab 2? Did you get this name GCE lab 2 status running until here? If you got it till here, that means it is running. Okay, for the first instance, this one, you didn't get this output. I mean, the numbers need not be same, something similar to this. Okay, just try to go to the VM instance list, go there, click on the external IP. If this does not open, maybe then there's a problem, or else there's no problem usually. Yes, Harshita, is your doubt clear? This is the output for the help. Okay, maybe there's some problem in loading. It happens sometimes. Did you run these commands perfectly? Installing, updating, and installing. Where did you run these two commands? Did you run them in the new command which opened up SSH shell? Yes, that could be, I think, better. If there is a problem, you can just share the screen and maybe you can. Yeah, good. I think it was just a little bit of time which was needed. Yes, anytime. I'm glad that you're listening and you even got it out and it got clarified. So kudos to me. Dhruti, did your problem also get solved? Okay. Did these two commands run properly? And did you run them in the new shell which opened up? I showed you another new shell, right? Did they run them? Those commands, you have to write them here. First, click on SSH here, and it will open up this thing. In this shell, you're supposed to copy those commands, those three commands. First, update, then install, and check if it is running. Were you able to see that? Yeah, I think that will. I think you will run those command in the cloud shell. So that's why that was a problem. You're not supposed to run it there. You're supposed to run it in SSH shell.
Hater, what's the difference between Cloud Shell and SSH?
Cloud shell is for SSH is like a web server. So if you want to create a web server, you have to go install it there, right? You can't. Cloud shell is for accessing the cloud services.
Okay, okay. Makes
Now,
sense.
the web server is created differently in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yes, I hope it is all good now. I can go down. Yeah, so where were we? We created the new instance, and now we are trying to connect instance through Cloud Shell instead of the just easy way. We are going the hard way, the long route. And yes, we are where are we? Yeah, now we are inside the SSH shell. What we were able to see after clicking on this SSH has now come inside the Cloud Shell. We have activated the SSH shell inside the Cloud Shell by running this command, sshgc laptop. So now we are inside here, and if I want to exit from this shell, I can just connection is closed. So that's how it is. And congratulations, the second lab is also done. I think some of you are still doing it. You can just try. I'll just end my lab because my time will be done in 10 minutes.
How many more laps do we have to complete this quest?
Uh, I think one or two. This okay. This three.
Maybe we can shift it to the next session because we're out of time. Since we also had to cover basics, I think it got dragged, and also plus we
Yeah,
started late. So can we do this in the next session? Will that be fine?
yeah, I am fine with it. What do you all
Okay.
say? I mean, if you have any doubts, you can ask now, and then maybe we can just wrap it up.
Yeah.
And I would say you can try this all on your own. As you can see, it's like very easy. You can do it on your own. Just read the instructions and do it. Try it once on your own.
Yes, and we can always like have these, like we're having a sprint, right? So that means that you're all supposed to follow along so that we're actually making progress on our course. And I've seen that like there are people who have done that today. Even if you haven't, you can go and do that right now because it's like fresh in your memory. There, we have more than 47 seconds today, and I think that's a great number considering like all the events we had up till yesterday. So
Yeah,
I think we're making a good progress. Thank you so much
yeah,
for joining. Like, you can ask any doubts. Then I'll leave it.
yeah. Any questions? I can help you out. And please, please, this is taking a long time because I'm like doing it from scratch. Also, if you do this all on your own and just ask your doubts or something, like it will go very fast also, and that will good for both us, like all of us. I think there are no doubts, Soumya. Maybe we can just end the call.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
sure.
very nice to have you all. I loved the chat today. It was very nice seeing it. People
Yes.
doing it along with me.
Okay, I'll stop recording and end it. Thank you, Sarah,
Yes.
for taking this. You were
Thank you.
amazing.